Hello there, my dear friends, my wonderful companions in the golden chapters of life. I want to start today with a warm, heartfelt welcome to every one of you joining us. Whether you're in your early 60s, your vibrant 70s, your wise and graceful 80s, or even embracing the world in your fabulous 90s, I'm so grateful that you're here, taking this moment for yourself, and choosing to stay curious, informed, and inspired. You know, growing older is often painted as a time of decline, of slowing down, of stepping back, but I want to tell you something right from the start: that's simply not the full story. In fact, it might be one of the biggest lies we've been told. Aging, in truth, is not a curse, it's a badge of honor. It means you've lived, you've learned, and you've loved. You've laughed and cried, and built a life full of moments that matter. And now you're entering one of the richest, most meaningful stages of all. A stage where your experiences have become wisdom, where your voice carries power, and where your days still hold the potential for joy, discovery, and personal growth. But here's the problem: there are so many dangerous myths about aging, false beliefs that sneak into our minds, sometimes planted there by society, the media, or even well-meaning people around us. These myths aren't just harmless misunderstandings. They can quietly, subtly affect how we feel, how we move, how we think, and even how long we live. That's why today, we're going to talk about 5 of the most dangerous myths about aging that you absolutely should stop believing. Because the moment you stop accepting these myths as truth, something powerful begins to happen. You start reclaiming your health, your happiness, and your confidence. You begin to live not just longer, but better. So, pour yourself a cup of tea or coffee, get cozy, and stay with me. I promise this isn't about lectures or boring advice. It's about empowerment. It's about replacing fear with facts, and doubt with hope. And most of all, it's about reminding you of the incredible strength that's always been inside you, waiting to shine through. Are you ready to let go of the myths and embrace the truth? Let's begin this journey together, because you deserve to thrive, no matter your age. Myth number 1: it's normal to be tired all the time when you're older. Let's begin with a myth that's been whispered around for far too long, a myth that has drained the energy and hope from millions of older adults. Well, I guess I'm just tired because I'm getting old. Sound familiar? Maybe you've heard it from a friend. Maybe a doctor said it offhandedly. Or maybe, on some quiet afternoon, you've said it to yourself. But let me tell you something: being older does not mean you're supposed to feel tired all the time. Yes, your body changes with age. That's natural. But constant fatigue, the kind that makes you feel like you're walking through mud every day, the kind that makes you want to lie down even after a full night's sleep, that's not a normal part of aging. That's a signal. A signal that something might be out of balance. Where does this myth come from? This idea, that aging equals exhaustion, probably began with how we often see older people portrayed in films, TV shows, and even in everyday conversation: slow-moving, always sitting down, needing naps all the time. But what if I told you that image is more stereotype than science? In truth, many older adults have boundless energy. They walk daily, laugh loudly, tend gardens, dance in the kitchen, and even volunteer or work part-time, not because they're forcing themselves to, but because they've figured out how to keep their energy flowing. So why do so many people over 60 feel tired? What's actually causing the fatigue? Here are some common culprits. Dehydration. As we age, we often don't feel as thirsty, but our bodies still desperately need water. Just being slightly dehydrated can lead to weakness, dizziness, and that foggy, drained feeling. Medications. Some common prescriptions, including blood pressure meds, statins, or pain relievers, have fatigue as a side effect. Your doctor might be able to adjust the dosage or switch to something better for you. Lack of movement. It sounds backwards, but the less we move, the more tired we feel. Gentle activity actually boosts energy, circulation, and even brain function. Poor sleep quality. Older adults often deal with lighter, more interrupted sleep. But this can be improved with routine, light exposure, and simple changes in bedtime habits. Nutrient deficiencies. A lack of vitamin B12, vitamin D, iron, or magnesium can silently drain your energy without any obvious signs at first. So what's the solution? What can you actually do? The good news? You have more control than you think. You don't have to accept feeling tired as your new normal. Here are simple but powerful steps to reclaim your vitality. 1. Hydrate consistently. Don't wait until you're thirsty. Sip water throughout the day. Herbal teas, broth-based soups, and water-rich fruits like watermelon and cucumber can help too. 2. Move a little every day. Even 5 to 10 minutes of walking around the house or stretching in the morning gets your blood flowing. Think of it as charging your internal battery. 3. Talk to your doctor about your medications. Don't be afraid to ask, could any of these be making me feel tired? You deserve clear answers. 4. Get sunlight early in the day. Natural light helps regulate your internal clock, making sleep deeper and more restful. 5. Nourish your body. Add foods rich in B vitamins, like eggs and leafy greens, and check with your doctor about a simple blood test to check for deficiencies. 6. Rest, but don't retreat. Take breaks when needed, but don't spend entire days on the couch. Your body was designed to move, even gently, and that movement creates energy. Here's something to remember: fatigue is not your age talking. It's your body asking for a little more care, a little more attention, and a reminder that you still have so much life to live. You deserve to feel strong, alert, and joyful, not just for special occasions, but on ordinary days too. So the next time someone says, "Oh, you're just tired because you're getting older," you can smile kindly and reply, "Actually, I'm learning how to take better care of myself, and I've got more energy now than I did 10 years ago." Now that's a powerful truth. Myth 2. Your brain naturally gets worse with age. Now, let's move on to another common and deeply discouraging myth. It's the one that whispers, "Oh, I'm just forgetting things because I'm getting old." Or worse, "I guess my mind isn't what it used to be." Let's pause right there. Because this belief, the idea that your brain must inevitably fade with age, is not only scientifically incorrect, it's also emotionally damaging. And here's the truth you need to hear today: yes, your brain changes with age, but decline is not destiny. This belief has been passed around for decades, even centuries. And in a way, it makes sense. We all forget a name now and then, misplace our glasses, or walk into a room and forget why we're there. These little brain hiccups can feel scary, especially as we get older. And when society keeps telling us that memory loss is just part of aging, we start to believe it. But that myth is based on outdated ideas. Today, neuroscience tells a different story, a more hopeful one. It's true, some parts of the brain shrink slightly over time. Processing speed might slow down a bit. You may need more repetition to remember new information. But here's the amazing part: your brain also has the power to adapt, to rewire, and to grow, even in your 70s, 80s, and 90s. It's called neuroplasticity, the ability of your brain to form new connections, learn new skills, and recover from setbacks. That power doesn't vanish with age. In fact, people who stay mentally active can grow new neural pathways that help them stay sharp for life. Why is this myth so dangerous? Because believing your mind is on its way out can become a self-fulfilling prophecy. When people think they're too old to learn something new, they stop trying. When they assume forgetfulness is permanent, they give up on puzzles, books, or conversation. And when they pull away from social life, thinking they can't keep up, they become isolated. And you know what's one of the worst things for the aging brain? Loneliness. Silence. Boredom. These don't just make you feel low emotionally, they actually shrink the parts of your brain responsible for memory, decision-making, and language. So the real threat to your mind isn't your age, it's inactivity and disconnection. You have more power than you think. Here are some simple but powerful habits that keep your brain youthful and alive. Challenge it every day. Do crossword puzzles, Sudoku, word games. Read something new. Write your memories in a journal. Learn a new word. Keep your mind stretching and growing. Play music or sing it. Learning music or even just singing along to songs stimulates both sides of the brain and strengthens memory, language, and mood. Stay socially connected. Talk with family, neighbors, or friends. Even short conversations wake up parts of your brain that stay dormant in isolation. Eat brain-friendly foods. Salmon, walnuts, olive oil, berries, dark chocolate. They're rich in antioxidants and healthy fats that fuel memory and concentration. Move your body. Walking, stretching, or dancing doesn't just help your heart, it increases blood flow to your brain, keeping it sharp. Breathe, rest, and reset. Chronic stress damages memory over time. Gentle breathing, meditation, or just listening to calming music gives your brain space to restore. Learn something new. Take up painting, try a new recipe, learn how to use a phone app. Every new skill builds mental resilience. Let's reframe the story. Instead of saying, "I'm too old to learn," try saying, "My brain deserves new experiences." Instead of thinking, "I'm losing my mind," remind yourself, "I'm still growing, and I can train my brain just like I train my muscles." Because remember this, a strong brain doesn't come from being young. It comes from being curious, active, and alive. So the next time you forget a name or misplace your keys, don't panic. It's human. It happens to everyone, young and old. The difference is, you have a lifetime of wisdom behind you. And that matters more than ever. Myth 3, it's too late to start something new. Let's take a moment to breathe in this next one, because it's one of the most quietly harmful myths out there. You've likely heard it before. Maybe you've even said it to yourself, "I wish I had learned the piano, but it's too late now. I've always wanted to write a book, but come on. I'm too old to start. If only I were younger. I'd go back to school, take up painting, maybe even travel somewhere new." And then comes that familiar sigh, that little shoulder shrug, that voice inside whispering, "Maybe that kind of life just isn't for me anymore." But here's what I want to tell you, gently, but firmly, it is never, ever too late to begin something new. In fact, there are people in their 70s learning new languages. People in their 80s falling in love. People in their 90s picking up paintbrushes for the very first time. There are even people past 100 who are still learning, creating, sharing, and thriving. This myth often comes from a mix of fear and messaging we've absorbed over time. We're told that new beginnings are for the young. That if you haven't done it by 40, 50, or 60, then you've missed your chance. But let me ask you this, since when did curiosity have an expiration date? The truth is, this myth survives because of a deep societal misunderstanding that value only comes from speed, success, and youth. But real wisdom, real richness, that comes from age, experience, and the courage to try, especially when others don't expect you to. Because it quietly robs people of one of the most beautiful gifts of later life, the freedom to explore without pressure. When you're young, you often learn or try things because you have to, for work, for school, to prove yourself. But in this golden stage of life, you get to try things simply because you want to. The myth says, "Why bother?" But the truth says, because it brings you joy. Because it keeps your spirit alive. Because it reminds you that life still holds surprises. Starting something new, even something small, can reignite your sense of purpose, awaken your brain through new neural connections, lift your mood and reduce feelings of sadness or isolation, build confidence and remind you that you are still growing, help you connect with others who share your interests. And the best part? There's no pressure to be perfect. You don't need to win awards, publish a bestseller, or paint like Picasso. You just need to begin. Here are some beautiful new beginnings that are absolutely possible. Right now, try a creative hobby. Painting, knitting, photography, gardening, or sculpting. You don't have to be good. You just have to enjoy the process. Learn a musical instrument. Even 5 minutes a day on a piano or ukulele can bring deep satisfaction, and it keeps your fingers and brain engaged together. Write your story. Your life is filled with moments others can learn from. Whether it's a memoir, letters to your grandchildren, or a blog, your words matter. Study something that fascinates you. History, nature, poetry. Join a local class or find one online. Age is no barrier to curiosity. Travel somewhere new, even if it's just a nearby town. A change of scenery awakens your senses. It reminds you that the world is still wide. Volunteer or mentor. Sharing your experience with others, especially young people, can open powerful new relationships and give your days deeper meaning. Let's flip the story. Instead of saying, "I'm too old to start," say, "This is the perfect time to begin something for me." Instead of thinking, "What's the point now?" say, "I finally get to choose something without needing anyone's permission." Because remember, you are not too old. You are just in a different season. And some of the most beautiful flowers bloom late. There is still so much life to live. So many mornings left to open the window, breathe in the air, and ask yourself, what small adventure could I begin today? You have earned the right to explore, to create, and to surprise even yourself. Myth 4: You can't improve your health after a certain age. Let's sit with this next myth for a moment, because it's one that carries real weight. It's the quiet belief that sounds like, "I've already done the damage. At my age, what's the point of exercising? It's too late to eat healthy now. I've lived this way for decades. Old bones don't change." Sound familiar? This myth has stolen something precious from far too many people: hope. But today, I want to gently place that hope back in your hands and say this clearly: no matter your age, your body is still listening. And it's still capable of healing, growing, and surprising you. It's easy to see how this belief became popular. The media often shows youth as the standard of health: slim bodies, fast movements, glowing skin. When we think of getting healthy, our minds jump to 20-somethings in gyms or marathon runners with smooth joints and endless energy. But what we don't see enough are the stories of people in their 60s, 70s, 80s, even 90s, who turned their health around. Who began walking every day, changed their diet, quit smoking, or simply stretched each morning, and transformed not only their bodies, but their spirit. Those stories exist. They're real. And they're growing in number every single day. Because when we believe that nothing can improve, we stop trying. And when we stop trying, our health slowly starts to slip, not because of age, but because of inactivity and discouragement. Here's what the science says: muscles can regain strength, even after decades of weakness. Lungs and heart function can improve with even gentle movement. Blood pressure and blood sugar can be lowered through nutrition and sleep. Bone density can be supported with weight-bearing exercise. Joints can become more flexible with consistent stretching. And even conditions like type 2 diabetes and heart disease can be managed, and sometimes reversed, at advanced ages. The human body is astonishingly adaptable. And it's never too late to give it the support it deserves. What kind of changes are realistic? Let's be honest, it's not about running marathons or becoming a yoga master. It's about sustainable, gentle, joyful change. The kind that fits your life and brings you peace, not pressure. Start small with movement. Even 10 minutes of light stretching in the morning can improve circulation, reduce stiffness, and lift your mood. A walk around the block, a gentle swim, or even chair exercises can make a huge difference. Nourish, don't punish. No need for extreme diets. Simply add more of the good: fresh fruits, vegetables, healthy fats like olive oil, nuts, whole grains. Your cells respond immediately when they receive better fuel. Hydrate. Drinking enough water can reduce fatigue, support memory, and improve digestion. Many older adults don't realize that dehydration mimics symptoms of illness or confusion. Prioritize rest. Sleep is where the body repairs. Good sleep hygiene, dim lights, quiet evenings, less caffeine, can improve everything from immune function to memory. Manage stress gently. Chronic stress affects the heart, brain, and immune system. Mindful breathing, nature, music, or prayer can all help calm the nervous system. Stay engaged with your doctor. Ask questions. Request updated labs. Discuss options. You are never too old to advocate for better care. Let's reframe this belief. Instead of saying, "What's the point at my age?" try saying, "My body still deserves care. It's brought me this far, I'll honor it now." Instead of thinking, "Nothing will change," remind yourself, "Even small changes can add years to my life, and life to my years." Because the truth is, every healthy choice you make is like a gift to your future self. Not just for living longer, but for living better. To move more freely. To sleep more soundly. To play with your grandkids without pain. To walk outside and feel the air on your face, knowing your body still serves you. That is possible. And it starts with believing again. You are not broken. You are alive, and that means there's still room for healing, strength, and joy. Myth 5: Older people have nothing left to contribute. This one hurts. Not just because it's untrue, but because so many quietly carry it inside. Maybe it came from being overlooked in conversations. From younger people rolling their eyes or brushing off your advice. From retirement shifting your daily role. From no longer being the go-to at work or the strong one in the family. And over time, the thought begins to whisper, "Maybe I don't matter as much anymore. Maybe I've already done all I was meant to do." But let's pause right here and say this out loud: that is a lie. And it's time we bury it, once and for all. Where does this myth come from? We live in a world that moves fast. A world that celebrates what's shiny, quick, young, and new. A world that often forgets the quiet power of lived experience. And so, when someone has wrinkles instead of filters, slower steps instead of instant replies, and stories instead of hashtags, they're too often ignored. Not because they have nothing to offer, but because we've forgotten how to listen. This myth doesn't reflect the truth. It reflects a loss of reverence. But you are a library of life. And what you hold inside, your memories, your mistakes, your lessons, your kindness, those are treasures no one else can offer. Why is this myth so dangerous? Because when someone believes they no longer matter, they begin to fade themselves out. They stop sharing opinions. They stop raising their hand. They stop offering stories, ideas, warnings, warmth. And the world becomes emptier for it. Communities without elders are like houses without foundations. They might look fine for a while, but eventually, they crack. What do older people still have to give? Let's count just a few: wisdom earned through time, not textbooks. Calm during crisis, because you've seen storms before. Patience that younger people often haven't built yet. Perspective that reminds others what really matters. Humor that comes from surviving both heartbreak and hilarity. Values that hold families together. Mentorship, the passing of the torch. And most importantly, presence. The simple, grounding presence of someone who's lived. There is no app that can replicate that. No AI that can imitate your lived experience. You are irreplaceable. Here are some ways you're still contributing, often without realizing it. You hold family traditions. That special recipe? That holiday song? That story about the war, or the way your mother loved to hum while cooking. That's legacy. You model resilience. Just by waking up each day, by choosing kindness, by navigating loss with grace, you show others how to keep going. You provide guidance. You might not think your advice matters, but there's a young person out there who would be steadier, braver, and wiser because of your voice. You offer emotional depth. You felt grief, joy, fear, love, longing, and your ability to name and hold space for those emotions is a rare gift. You remind the world of where we've come from. History isn't just dates in a book. It's in your eyes, your stories, your memories. Let's rewrite this belief. Instead of thinking, "I have nothing left to offer," say, "I am full of life, full of lessons, and still worthy of being heard." Instead of saying, "I'm just in the background now," remind yourself, "I am the background, and the framework, and the heartbeat." Because the truth is, your existence still echoes. Every hug, every laugh, every time you sit beside someone and just listen, you are shaping the world. You don't need a microphone to be meaningful. You don't need a title to be powerful. And you don't need youth to be valuable. You are not at the end of your story, you are in a sacred, golden chapter. The part where your presence holds weight, where your silence speaks volumes, where just being you is a contribution in itself. Dear friend, if you've stayed with me through this video, then I want to say something, not just to your ears, but to your heart. You are not finished. You are not fading. You are becoming. The world may try to define you by your age, your wrinkles, your retirement status, but don't let it. Because the truth is, you are still growing. Still learning. Still loving. Still making a difference. Whether you're 60, 70, 80, or 90, every breath you take is a line in your story. Every smile you give is a thread in someone else's life. And every act of care, toward yourself or others, sends ripples into the world that can't be measured. You don't need to go back to who you were. Because who you are now is wise. Is powerful. Is exactly who someone out there needs. So let's remember together, aging is not a decline, it's a deepening. Your brain can still grow new pathways. You can start something new today. Your body still responds to love, care, and movement. And your voice, your presence, your very being, still matters more than words can say. Before we go, I have a small request. If this message spoke to you, please share it with someone you care about. Maybe a friend who feels invisible. Maybe a loved one who's given up on their health. Maybe a grandparent who doesn't realize how deeply they're still needed. And if you want to keep hearing messages that lift you up instead of tear you down, then please like, subscribe, and leave me a comment. I read every single one. And it reminds me that you're out there and still shining. You have not run out of time. You have not run out of worth. And you have not run out of wonder. So take a deep breath, lift your chin, and say it with me, I still have something beautiful to give. Because you do. And the world is better because you're still in it. With all my respect and warmth, thank you for being here. Take care of yourself. And I'll see you in the next video.